So today I'm going to be trying to get the Platinum Trophy for High on Life. High on Life has 33 trophies, a 3 out of 10 difficulty, and takes around 15 hours to beat, but it took me 16. Now, if you didn't know, High on Life was created by Rick and Morty co-creator High on Life begins with our sister offering us cocaine, and funnily enough, this won't even be the worst thing to happen in this game. So after I do a line, we go outside to see we're getting invaded by aliens. I proceed to go over to this dead guy and grab his alien Glock 19 that actually barfs all over me, but that's okay because it now lets me understand what he's saying. So with the G3 cartel invading Earth, we have to flee to a big space city to find help, and that help would be none other than a guy named Gene, who also has no legs. Gene offers us his bounty hunter outfit, but in return, if we die, Gene gets to keep our house. So naturally we agree. After that, Gene tasks us with taking out a local gangster called Ninetog. But before I do that, we are stopped by this little kid who starts cussing me out and daring me to shoot him. So I do what anyone in my position would and gun down this poor defenseless child, which rewards me with our first trophy. The next trophy I would get was for juggling an enemy in the air with at least 5 shots. Following that would probably be my most favorite moment in the game. You stumble across an illegal deal for a knife, and before I even open the door, I hear it screaming death threats like he was reading the DMs of a female Twitch streamer, so I pose as the buyer, go grab knifey, and I pop the trophy. Now after that would be the first boss fight. I had to kill this weird looking bug named Ninetog. Which was pretty easy. I just riddled it with bullets and popped the trophy. But we couldn't leave just yet, because Knifey says we have to bring back proof of the kill, so I let the guy go wild.
And I did it because I like her, I love.
And he carves out a piece of thigh meat because he's kind of unhinged. Upon returning home, Knifey sees Gene and begs me to stab him in that soft little belly. So naturally I let him, and I pop another trophy. So unfortunately, for the next hour of gameplay, I would get no trophies. I spent that time doing some things that would lead to trophies later on, while also making my way through Port Terrene doing the story and killing dudes, which would eventually lead me to the next bounty, Douglas, who is this goopy looking octopus thing that I think that Deep would be into, if you know what I mean. Again, the bounties are pretty easy to kill in this game. Douglas's gimmick was electrifying the floor and teleporting at insane speeds, but it really didn't help him avoid my bullets because I killed him and got a trophy. And shortly after, I picked up his gun Sweezy for another trophy. With the second bounty down, I head back to Gene to let him know I got the job done, and then we headed off to the jungle planet in pursuit of Krubus. I find a small village of these little guys called Moblets, who have been enslaved by the G3 cartel, so I promised their king I'd save their race from enslavement. A while later I find this office building, where I pretend I'm the Moblets' new boss, and the game gives me a prompt with 2 options, saying file paperwork or kiss each other. So I obviously press kiss each other, and because I'm their boss, they have to do what I say, and they proceed to have a 3-way French kiss. But that's not all, because I then make them fistfight and then order them to kill each other. But they actually all refuse and quit their jobs. But anyways, I popped the trophy. Moving on, I found the Krubus boss fight area, where once again I just filled him with bullets and got 1 trophy for killing him. And a second trophy for taking his gun called Gus. After returning home, I picked up the jetpack and got a trophy. The next bounty was the Screndel Bros, which had me going back to the jungle planet, but in a different area this time. As soon as I arrive, I see a sad Moblet, and he tells me they've been enslaved again. No surprise there, like I'm starting to think they actually like being slaves. But anyways, he also tells me about this facility where I go kill a few goons and pick up a new gun called Creature, or a trophy. It was about 20 minutes later I found the Screndel Bros boss fight, where I beat the absolute tar out of this idiot, but to my surprise, he was still alive, and the bros transformed into the almighty Brotron. However, they weren't hard to beat at all, and when I did, I popped the trophy. So after killing the Screndels, we were off to find our next bounty, Dr. Giblets. And while searching for the good doctor, I came across a store called High on Life, where they were doing a midnight release of their new product, the Hyperbong. But as I am a good Christian boy, I do not partake in smoking the devil's lettuce, and exit the store promptly, only to find poor old Davy Glutes, who was brutally trampled by the crowd. Rest in peace, Mr. Glutes. We'll miss you, friend. But his friend said I could take his mag boots, so I did, and popped the trophy. Continuing our search for Dr. Giblets, we head to planet Zephyr, where we do some investigating, finding all types of weird shit, but it wouldn't be until I got to the end I found the doctor who had the most unfortunate, truly heartbreaking accident, where he killed himself in Minecraft, of course, and I got a trophy. But that wasn't the end of Dr. Giblets, because he had a whole boss fight where he was monologuing about who could have killed him, but he realizes the only one strong enough to kill him was himself. At this point in the story, it was finally time I could finish up this side quest thing for watching Globo's Rise to Fame, which is done by doing a few small tasks throughout the game up to this point. Just look up a guide for it, it's way easier than me trying to explain it. To celebrate Globo's Rise to Fame, I went over to Space Applebee's, and as an Australian, I don't know what the fuck an Applebee's is. Like, is it good? Anyways, we sat down and tried to talk with Kenny, but the damn waiter kept interrupting him. So of course we had to leave a bad Yelp review, and also there was a kidnapping happening right outside our window, which we were very concerned about, but before we went to help, I had to pay the bill for a trophy. So about an hour later is when we would find Nepulon, but Helen makes me wait in the waiting room. After quite the wait, Helen finally lets me in and I start blasting Nepulon. However, he puts me in some sort of psychedelic trip, which went on for a while, but at least Nepulon was kind enough to give me a trophy for spending 15 hours at the Alien Strip Club. And a few minutes later, another trophy for killing him. There was then this one quest I could finally do called Sequel Bait, which is located in the unknown sector where the human race is taking refuge, and I found the secret room popping the trophy. But then there's also this little cutscene where the doctor pops that little yellow guy. Shortly after, I got another trophy for getting the last gun, Let's Do It. And now it's time for the last mission in the game, where you just blast a bunch of guys non-sexually. And along the way, I got a trophy for saying goodbye to Suto. So at the end of this mission, you get to face off against Garmantuous, and halfway through the battle, he traps me in a bubble thing where he offers me a deal. He says, if I surrender to him, he won't hurt the two people I love the most in this world, my parents. But he just summons that guy from the Minecraft movie and some woman I've never seen in my life. So Garmantuous just turns him into red jelly and we go back to fighting for a while, until I obviously beat him and pop the trophy. With Garmantuous down and a bunch of explosives in his asshole that won't detonate, we sadly have to sacrifice one of our guys to go in there and detonate it manually. So I send Les Do It in there because you get a trophy for choosing anyone but Kenny to go in. Les Do It detonates the bomb and to our surprise, doesn't die. And that's the whole story completed with one final trophy for carrying Stan's load to completion. Now it's time for the dreaded cleanup. I had 8 trophies to get, and I started with this trophy for sitting through the really annoying countdown show on the TV, which I just left the game on for and went AFK, so here's that one. Next I got a quick trophy for popping 20 grunt eyeballs like I be popping your girl's pussy. The next 2 trophies are both collectible related for getting old trading cards and opening every Luglox chest. Then I used the warp base that spawns a movie theater for a trophy, followed by a related trophy for unlocking and exploring all warp bases. I also got a trophy for unlocking every post in the Bounty Hunter forums. And finally, the Platinum Trophy.